Hi, welcome to the Drama Free Living Podcast. Dennis and Lisa McIntee. And Lisa, this has been fun. We're kind of diving into something that we've never really talked about before. Really, how do you bulletproof your leadership, bulletproof your organization? Because the one constant is change. The change is always going to happen. Markets change, people change, philosophy change, and we've even seen a lot of big changes just since we've started the training organization 15 years ago. Yeah. How we do training today is different than what we train about is different. And so really we want to talk about maybe some of the differences and some of the differences that we've seen and some things that you can do to actually bulletproof your organization. And one that we want to jump into is really like knowing who you are and the importance of knowing why you do what you do. This whole idea of like, why do you do, and enrolling people inside of the why it's huge.
Right.
And so, Deloitte, they did this survey and they said that, now listen to this, Lisa. 82% of respondents believe it's important for an organization to have a meaningful purpose. Okay, so 82% of people said, hey, this is super important.
And they want to be part of something that has a meaningful purpose.
But only 42% reported that their organization's purpose was clearly communicated to them.
Ouch.
Okay, so it's super important. And then half of the people said, well, nobody's really even communicating it to me. But you know what I realized, Lisa, and we even had this in our organization, is that I've come to realize that it's something we have to talk about more and more, right? We just had a core values conversation with our team, and it really hit me. It's like, okay, I know it. Like I think about it. It's always on my mind, but I don't talk about it a lot.
Well, and I think part of that goes back to last podcast, we talked about the knowledge doubling curve and how knowledge is doubling so quickly, and that now in our day today, it's probably doubling every 12 hours. So what that gives us is that gives us information overload, which means if you talked about your why and your purpose 3 months ago or 9 months ago, it has been overshadowed by all of this new knowledge and information that's come on, and it's gotten buried. And so there's this overload and it's no longer rising to the surface. So the importance of communicating it more frequently, those organizations, what would you say, 42% of organizations?
Right.
They've probably communicated it, maybe, but
maybe it's on a wall, it's a sign on a wall.
But it hasn't been brought up as frequently as it needs to now, just simply because of the knowledge doubling curve that we're dealing with.
Well, and I think it's this whole idea where there is no wood, the fire dies out. And so I think part of our job as leaders is continue to put the wood on the fire of vision, put the wood on the fire of purpose. And listen, I think if you haven't talked about it in the last week, it's like you're falling behind. I haven't realized for me, if I'm not talking about it every week, I'm probably falling behind.
Well, and what's interesting for us is the why behind what we do and the why behind our company and the why behind why we're helping organizations just excel in their industries. It's the core of who we are. I mean, we would do this if we got paid or not. But hopefully we get paid. But it's like we do this because we're passionate about it. And sometimes when you're passionate about it, you're not talking about it because you're doing it. Well, and it's the core of who you are. It's the essence of who you are. So you just assume that people know and understand.
Well, and I think that's the key thing, right? It's like you think everybody is just like you, or everybody is thinking the same thoughts
and
that you're thinking.
And has the same passion that you have.
Right. And part of our job as leaders is really to enroll people in the purpose, enroll people in the passion. And if people are not enrolled in the passion, I think we got to stop complaining and kind of look at us and go, okay, what have I not done? Or what could I do to enroll people in the passion and the process and the purpose and really why we do what we do? And I think the biggest thing, Lisa, as I'm thinking about it, what it helps people is it really helps people with the decision making. I mean, we had a team member that really wanted to know because they wanted to make better decisions. And I'm like, I love that. Right? Hey, I want to be more autonomous. I want to have more, not incentive, but initiative.
And want to be confident that the decisions that they're making are what we would want as an organization, but without having that core of why we do what we do.
Yeah,
it's difficult to be able to make those decisions. And then you have everyone running up the chain to get confirmation from their higher up on, is this what I should do? And is this the right thing?
Yeah. And then you have leaders that are frustrated about this because we've talked to many, and I just had a conversation with a client. He said, Dennis, I feel like my organization has one head and 160 hands. right? Almost said 150, but how do you have 150, right? But you think about it, it's like there's one person making the decision. Well, sometimes it's because people don't know what a good decision looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know because they don't know the why, the purpose, right? And they don't take initiative, not because they're not full of initiative, but it's because they're really unsure about the purpose.
And they don't take initiative, not because they don't desire to take initiative, but they've got this paralysis and they're just not sure. And so they don't feel capable about taking this initiative.
And so I think as leaders, we have some things to do. So really kind of creating alignment around the purpose, right? And sometimes like some of the best alignment is when my goals and the organization goals always match up. It's why we continue to use the GPS framework when we're dealing with organizations and really creating employee care plans. I think our clients have said, Dennis, this GPS idea and these employee care plans that you've helped us create has been some of the most impactful work that you have done, that your organization has done with us, because we really help organizations and people align their goals together. And that's when you have this synergy, right? Because we talk about motivating people, but I can't motivate you if I don't know your motive.
Right.
But how many times do I just try to like say these catchphrases and think it's motivating or, but people are motivated for their own reasons. And really using the GPS really, really helps with that. And we'll put that in the show notes, Lisa.
Yeah.
And you can have the GPS framework if that's something that you go, hey, I really need my organization to align better together, with our organization and our people's goals. You can have that resource. And then another one is adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people know the why we do what we do, they can sort of make changes according to different circumstances, right? Because there's going to be new challenges. Right? Every quarter has a different challenge.
Every day has a new challenge.
Yeah.
And it might look different than the day before. And how do you take that information and knowledge that you currently have and tweak it just a little bit to apply to this new situation?
Yeah. And if I know the why, then I can do that kind of stuff, right? But if I don't know the why, then I'm just sort of like, oh, I'm just stuck. And then it's even worse because then the leaders complain to us about, hey, my team is just stuck. Well, it's like you have done this to them. And so just stepping back and going, okay, how do I communicate this even better? I think it creates this clarity and confidence, right? Because good decision-making, you need the clarity of this is why we do, and you need the ability to like prioritize. And I think that's part of the idea sometimes is that when I don't know the purpose, it's hard to prioritize. Yeah. And prioritize continue to shift. Right. And almost like, hey, what's really important this month, all of a sudden something changes and something leapfrogs it. And teaching people that, listen, priorities shift.
They have to shift because we're in such a changing environment and a changing world.
Well, and then people say, well, why do we always change around here? And sometimes it's not that we're changing, but the environment is changing. The market is changing. The circumstance and the context changes. So every time the context changes, the content has to change. And some of the best leaders that we've worked with are able to continue to shape content according to context. Like they're not mad at the circumstance. Being frustrated at the circumstance really does nothing.
Except increase your frustration.
Increase your frustration, right? You're frustrated about the circumstance and then you complain. Well, it never fixes anything. It's kind of like being mad about the weather. I cannot do anything about how many people they live frustrated with the market and with the changes. And, think about,
and frustrated with their team and how their team is responding to it.
Yeah. But yet they never do anything about it.
Right.
And it's really, it's why we've created the frustration reducer. We'll put a link there for you on the frustration reducer, but our clients have said, hey, this is the thing that has really helped us when I feel frustrated. Help me not complain, right? So maybe if you're into complaining, right? I get it. It can be a habit. Maybe you have team members that are into complaining. You cannot get them to stop complaining. We created the frustration reducer for you, and you can have that as a free gift.
What's so funny is I am so not into complaining, but I'm thinking it does bother me when I'm around people that complain. So I think I would have to use the frustration reducer to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly. And
that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, and you can actually take the tool and you can use it with people around you. Another thing I think that purpose does, and when it's really clear and decision making is this whole idea of accountability becomes easy. Accountability becomes easier because I know the why. And I can make decisions and I can own those decisions. And I think that's the key thing is like, not that we don't make mistakes but you just own it. You just own, hey, this was my decision, right? I made this decision and I'm owning this decision and owning every behavior. We were talking with an organization, and one of the particular people in the organization said, "Well, I just don't really feel safe when I'm around this other person."
That's a deal.
It's a deal, but you know what, Lisa? What I realize is that I don't think this person ever has done anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were almost looking to their leader to go, "Hey, you got to fix this. I don't feel safe around this person. You got to fix this." And I really stepped back with this leader and said, "Hey, listen, it's up to that. If that person doesn't feel safe, whose problem is that? Mm-hmm. It's that person that doesn't feel safe. And if they're not willing to step in and have a conversation, then they're just going to have to live with it."
Right.
And they don't have a right to shut down, because how many people, I don't feel safe in that environment, but yet I'm not going to have a conversation. I'm not going to step in and talk about it, but I'm just going to shut down.
Right. And you also have to take into account there's different types of not feeling safe. Like there is not feeling safe because someone really truly is a threat. And that's a different situation where you don't feel safe and they probably need to be removed from the situation, or you need to. But there's a different type of not feeling safe, whereas someone's behavior, maybe they are just they're direct, and they're more direct than you want them to be. So then because of your internal insecurities, you begin to shut down. And you begin to shut down because they're direct. And so you don't feel safe to share what your thoughts are. Well, okay, in that situation, whose problem is that? Is that the person who is being direct? Because they could be nice, and they could be kind, and they could be direct, and they could be accurate, but because of my own insecurities and my own, I'm not sure what to do, and my own history, I don't feel safe. That's something that I have to deal with. And so when we're talking about someone not feeling safe, there is a situational issue to it. And as you as a leader and you as a CEO, really being able to kind of dive down in with that person and figuring out what is the situation behind why you don't feel safe. Because there is an issue, and it does need to be dealt with, because you as a team can't function together well. But how do you actually handle it? And it really depends on the severity of the situation and what's going on with it.
Well, and how you handle it is also dependent on the why of your organization.
The why of your organization.
Right? It all kind of centers back to that why, because different cultures are different, and what you grow in your culture is dependent on the culture that you have, right? It's like orange trees do not grow in Michigan. No matter if you have orange seeds, you have orange, you'll never grow an orange tree because there's not the right environment, there's not the right culture. And that's really what we're talking about, is really knowing the why. And especially one thing, at least I just got a note from a CEO that had transitioned and retired. And he sent me an email, and it was so encouraging. And he said, "Dennis," he said, "the one thing that I really appreciated about you is that you didn't try to change our culture." He said, "You just tried to enhance the culture we already had." And really, I think that's our goal, even as an organization, is we don't want to change people's culture, right? They have a specific why. This is, certain uniqueness to it. And we want to just really value that uniqueness. We just want to make it a little bit better. We want to take what's great and make it amazing.
And when you don't know why you do what you do, then anyone can come in and they can just change your culture for you. And then it no longer becomes the core of who you are in your organization, because you are thinking, well, what they're saying makes sense. And there's so many different methodologies and ideas, and there's so many different purposes. And so when you're not strong with who you are, why you do what you do, then your company is just waiting for a hostile takeover by someone who is stronger in their why and why they think your company should be that way.
Yeah. And listen, as a CEO, the one thing you cannot delegate is culture. You can delegate so many things. There are so many things that you can delegate and get off your plate, but the one you cannot delegate culture. You have to be intimately involved with it. So, Lisa, you had some other thoughts about really understanding the why and, aligning of the why and values and building relationships. And I thought we were kind of talking about this morning, it was really fascinating.
Yeah. So with the why you do what you do, there's the action of it, why you do what you do. And then there's the behavior aspect of it. It's knowing your organization's why is crucial relationally. And it's the alignment of your values. It's alignment of your values within your company. It's like a compass that guides a ship. Everyone on that ship knows where we're headed. We're all headed to England. We're headed there. We're crossing the ocean.
Do we have to go to England?
Yeah, because I like England.
Oh, let's go to Greece.
Okay.
Let's go to Greece. I'd rather go to Greece. We're going to Greece.
So we're all headed.
I feel better already.
And it doesn't matter. We could lose our captain. We could lose half of the crew. Well, maybe not half of the crew, but we could lose a lot of individuals. We could lose those, but we all know where we're going. And that alignment of values is what guides our ship. And it's what takes us to where we go, because everyone on board shares the same core values, and we're all working together in sync towards this common destination. And that's where that multiplication of synergy happens, is when our values are aligned and we're like, this is where we're headed. Well, and we all know it.
Well, isn't it like, so you're talking about a compass, but as you're talking about, I'm thinking it's almost like the boundaries. Also, it's like, it's sort of like the values are the boundaries, and it sort of like determines what grows inside of that garden.
Right.
Every organization is like a garden, like they're growing different things, and the values sort of like they're also a compass, and they're also kind of like those boundaries.
Absolutely. And then the building of the relationships within your organization, that's essentially like your crew. Your crew that's on this ship, and you need your crew to keep smooth sailing. And when you've got strong connections with your team members, and you're not just colleagues, but you're family. You feel like we've got each other's back. You've got a tight-knit crew, and you're going to have turbulence. You're going to have weather. You're going to have things that are just very, very difficult situations and circumstances and storms. And when you're going through all of this, when you know that your colleague has your back, and you know that things are going to happen, but yet you're connected, and you're going to go through it together. Yeah,
you're kind of connected to this bigger purpose. So you've got the ship analogy. I got a garden analogy going on in my head, right? So like almost like so I love the ship, but almost like it doesn't also determine like who works in the garden.
It totally determines. If we're going to garden, let's garden. Let's do it.
Right. It's like who's in the boat, right? It almost determines who's in the boat.
Yeah.
And so I want different team members in the boat, but sort of the thing that holds us all together, the boat, are these common values and the common why we do what we do. We're all sort of rowing that same way. And not everybody belongs on the boat. Not everybody belongs in the ship. And it's not that they're bad, right? There are people that have been with us and are not, and they're great people. We've had some amazing people as team members through the years, and they've just moved on to other things. And it's not that they're bad, but it's just, they had a different purpose.
Well, and people are in your lives for different seasons.
Yeah.
And so we take the people that are in our lives, and you taking the people that are in your life, in your organization, you have them for a season. You're not going to have them for forever. But let's work together as a collective to go toward this destination that we have, and these values that we have. And then the third one is motivation.
Really gives that juice.
Yeah,
right?
Motivation is the fuel. Going back to the ship, we're out of the garden now, back to the ship.
Well,
motivation
we'll
is
stay in the ship.
fuel.
We'll stay in the ship.
It keeps the engines running. Motivation is what keeps us moving forward. And when you know why you do what you do, it's like throwing coal, it's throwing fuel into that furnace. It's stoking it up hotter, because it keeps that fire burning bright. It's that motivation, knowing why we do what we do. It's this motivation. It's what gets us out of bed in the morning. It's what makes us eager to tackle our challenges ahead, because we know this is the greater purpose that I'm involved in. And this is the why, because everybody wants their lives to count. And we spend so much of our time at work, and your employees and the people within your organization, they spend a huge amount of their time at work. And so allowing them to just feel really passionate and satisfied, and feeling like they're making a difference, so they're excited to get out of bed in the morning. Wow, what an amazing team you would build.
Yeah, Lisa, I'm so privileged to be around so many great organizations, and even some of our clients are just some of the best. And this is sort of what separates the good from the great clients, I think, is that I was thinking one particular one, they're always talking about the why. They're finding different ways, like by picture, by words, by song, by different things. And they're just so good at communicating the why. And even understanding that your what is not your why. We have a particular company in the DC area, and what I love about them is that they say, hey, you know what? We are really a marketing company that just happens to do landscaping. Hey, we are really at our core just marketers that just love to cut grass. And it's this whole idea of what they do is cut grass, but why they do what they do is really more marketing and passion and messaging. And they're just crazy passionate about the environment. They actually have, what landscaper has like what a scientist that actually works for them on their payroll?
Right. To just really, to help with the environment and to help.
Yeah. Who has that?
Exactly.
Right. But it's like they have this big why. So their what is just cutting grass, but their big why is having this scientist on their team. And so we'll give a shout out to MoCow. So it's Richard Lindsay there, and we'll put a link to his organization. You can kind of see how they market and stuff. But
and if you call and you get their voice messaging, it's a cow and it moves. It's like moo. It's a great day at MoCow or whatever. It's the funniest messaging. I think they still have that.
I think they do. But they're fantastic at creating and just communicating
because they really care about the environment. They care. I mean, yes, they're landscaping, but they're passionate about the earth and the world around them.
Yeah, and your passion always shows through. And so listen, as a CEO, that's the one thing that you can't delegate. You can't delegate your passion. You have to communicate your passion, communicate that why. And then the last one, Lisa.
The last one is resilience.
Yep.
Now, resilience is truly the backbone of your organization. Okay. It's when you have a strong sense of purpose, when you have a strong sense of what we're doing, the why behind what we do and what we're accomplishing and this greater purpose on the earth, the setbacks don't throw you off course and you bounce back and you're stronger than ever and you're ready to face whatever comes your way. And so the value of communicating why you do what you do, you probably don't communicate why you do what you do and what your organization is all about and the greater purpose that you're having on this earth as much as you think you are. But if you want to build alignment of values and you want to have a clear goal of where you're headed, and if you want to build the relationships where your team sees each other as we've got their back and we're here for each other, and when you want to fuel that passion to be able to just have people a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and when you want to just be really strong and have a sense of no matter what takes us off course, we're going to bounce back. You'll dive into the why. You'll dive into driving in the why of what we do and sit down and have a meeting with your team, have a meeting with your C-suite and have a meeting with your team in general and just ask them, say, why do you think we do what we do, and find out what they say.
Yeah. Lisa, this has been really good. I think the thing that's kind of hitting my brain is, we have a vision document, but I need to go back to it here in the next week. And I need to figure out how I can communicate it a little clearer. Like I need to be more creative in how I communicate it, maybe get some pictures, some videos. I need to step back and really like think through that. And I know that like whenever I've lost my why, I lose my way.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you start to find yourself if there's any area in your life where you've lost your way, I think you need to step back and kind of like look at your why. What's kind of like hit your brain as we've had this conversation today?
I think I need to go to Greece.
You know what? Let's do it
on a ship because I need to experience. The alignment of values and the building relationships and the motivation.
We're going to Greece. Let's do it. Yeah. Cancel the podcast. We're done.
No, I truly think that. Because we had this meeting with our team and just us clearly expressing why do we do what we do. And we've got it. We've got it in our brand book. We've got it in Trello. We've got it in multiple places. And one of our team members just wanted to be able to make better decisions. And we realized why we do what we do is deep inside us. It's the core of who we are. But just because people can't see what's inside you. You have to say it. You have to get it out there because they can't read your mind and they can't read your intentions. Yeah.
So this has been great. Listen, we mentioned the frustration reducer. So that's a free resource that you have. And our clients, one of the things our clients have really used it for is like you said, Lisa, like I don't deal with frustration, but man, I got a bunch of people around me that complain about their frustrations. What do I do with that? So if you have a bunch of people or one or two people in your life that like tend to complain about frustration, it helps you know what to do with it. So you can use it with a team member. You can share it with team members. So we want you to download it. We'll give a link to it. It's your free resource, and it'll be there, Frustration Reducer. Lisa, it's been fun. Let's keep it going. We'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.